What if money was never designed to make you free, but to make you compliant? What if the bills in your pocket, the numbers in your bank, and the wealth you think you own are not actually symbols of power, but instruments of control? Because somewhere in history, money stopped being a measure of value and quietly became a mechanism of obedience. No announcement, no vote, no choice. Just a silent transition that reshaped the world and locked billions into a system they never agreed to. Tonight, we're going to uncover when that shift happened, who engineered it, and why the modern financial system depends on your obedience to function. And the most disturbing part? It's still happening. Section 1. Origins. When money meant freedom. For most of human history, money was simple. Gold, silver, commodities, tangible value. If you owned it, it was yours. No one could delete it, freeze it, or inflate it into worthlessness. Money gave independence. Money gave independence. A farmer could trade without kings. A merchant could work without permission. Wealth meant autonomy. Even early banks, whether in Renaissance Italy or medieval trade hubs, worked on a straightforward principle: store value, transfer value, protect value. But power hates independence. And rulers quickly realized something dangerous. People who control their own wealth don't need to obey. So slowly, almost invisibly, money began to transition from a store of value into a tool that required trust in an authority. That was the first crack in the foundation. Section 2, the rise. Central banking and the invisible hand. Fast forward to the 17th and 18th centuries. Governments were drowning in war costs. Gold couldn't keep up. So in 1694, the Bank of England pioneered a radical idea. Money backed not by gold alone, but by government debt. For the first time, currency wasn't tied to what a nation owned, but what it owed. Other nations followed. Central banks spread. Paper money replaced metal. People accepted it, trusting that value still existed somewhere in vaults. But behind the curtain, a transformation was underway. Money became permission-based, created by banks. It's issued by governments, monitored by institutions. It's debt. Money was printed, debt increased. Every time, debt increased. Dependency deepened. The system didn't force obedience through laws. It forced obedience through survival. Section 3, the breaking point. 1971, and the switch nobody voted on. The moment money truly stopped being real came in 1971. When President Nixon ended the gold standard, the US dollar and, by extension, global money lost its anchor. Currency was no longer tied to any physical value. It became pure trust, manufactured by policy and controlled by central banks. That was the silent transition. Overnight, money became unlimited in supply, controlled by a few and forced through debt from that moment. Money was not wealth. It was an obligation, a promise enforced by the system itself. And the world didn't protest because the shift was technical. Hidden behind economic language, the average person couldn't decode, but the consequences would be massive. Section 4, the fallout. Debt as a cage. Once money became infinite, debt became inevitable. Global debt exploded from $1 trillion in 1972 over $300 trillion today. Household debt, student loans, mortgage. Entire generations were born into systems where working wasn't just a choice. It was mandatory to service debt. Governments borrowed, banks profited, citizens labored, and money, instead of granting freedom, now dictated behavior. Miss a payment, lose your home. Speak against power, watch your accounts freeze. Refuse to participate, be shut out of society. Obedience wasn't demanded, it was economically engineered. Section 5, failed fixes and the digital lock. In every crisis. 2008, 2020 and beyond brought the same solution. Print more money, create more debt, expand more control. And now, a new phase is emerging. Digital currencies, traceable transactions, programmable money. In China, social credit systems already link behavior to financial access. In other nations, banks can freeze funds at the click of a button. Over 90% of global money exists only as digital entries. It evolves surveilled, permission-based. For the first time in history, money doesn't just influence obedience, it can enforce it. Modern parallel: 60% of Americans can't handle a $500 emergency. 1 in 3 young adults expect never to own a home. 70% of global transactions are monitored by financial intermediaries. The pattern is clear. Dependence replaces autonomy. Debt replaces ownership. Compliance replaces freedom. History isn't repeating, it's completing. 3 takeaways: money stopped being value and became control. Debt turned citizens into economic subjects, not participants. Digital finance is creating the most powerful obedience system ever built. Final warning: the transition wasn't loud. It wasn't violent, it was silent, technical, bureaucratic hand. That's why it worked. If money can be created, monitored, limited, and deleted, then freedom becomes conditional, not guaranteed, not inherent. Conditional. Call to action. If you believe people deserve to understand the system controlling their lives, share this video, subscribe, and stay with us as we uncover the hidden architecture of modern finance. Because this story isn't over, it's only beginning.